Hello, I'm Dan from Edimo Electric Bikes, and this is the new UBN5 Commute from Riese and Muller. So looking at this bike, we kind of probably recognise it. This is an Urban or a UBN from Riese and Müller. It's a bike they already have. It's a Fazua motor and battery combination. But what they've done is they've restyled it for this year. So they've created a gravel bike, but they're refusing to call it a gravel bike. They're calling it a commute, as I don't think that they're sort of heavily into the sports side of things, but it is definitely a gravel bike. I mean, look at everything on here. It's all about gravel. Having just ridden it, typically I only get to ride it around sort of tarmac around here at Eurobike. The ride is super smooth. I've never been a fan of anything that's sort of a road type bike. I find them quite hard and uncomfortable. But this one, I guess it's the bigger tyres on it. It just feels really, really lovely and smooth. I guess obviously it's got suspension as well, but it's a really nice bike. It's sort of a re-lifted, revamped version of the UBN5, and I think it's going to be really, really popular. So let's run through some of the different details, some of the things that they've added to this bike to make it really quite cool. Let's start at the front and make our way through. So first thing we can see, which is obvious, is the tyres. So we've got these lovely Schwalbe G1 brown or tan wool tyres that are on them. They're really good on the road. They're very, very small or light tread, so they're sort of a dimpled effect on the tyre, which makes it really nice for the tarmac because you haven't got any drag on it. But when you do go for some of the sort of light off-road sort of gravelly tracks, it has got a little bit more bite still there. And they're also quite a wide tyre. I don't know exactly what they are. I guess they're 45s or something, but they just give that little bit more comfort when you're riding as well. So it's not that really hard road bike type ride. It's a lot more sort of soft and comfortable. Being me, I would typically ride these tyres pretty flat. I guess they're up at around about 40 psi at the moment. That's technically how I find out what psi they are. I don't need a check, it's just this one, just give it a quick squeeze. Then the next thing that we can see on this are these mudguards. So these are slightly wider mudguards. They're aluminium, again, so they're nice and hard wearing, but they're wider to allow us to get this wider tyre that we've got in here as well. Obviously on this it's hydraulic brakes. Now this is a Shimano brakes that we've got on this one, and I'll come to that in a minute. This is a full Shimano GRX group set, so I'll just run through that in a second. But whilst we're still down at the front, here we go, we're getting as standard the front suspension fork on this bike as well. So an air suspension fork with the opportunity for a lockout as well, so it's a gradual lockout, so you can sort of set it anywhere between where you want it to be. So that makes the front end of it nice and comfortable. Colour of this bike, this is called Silver. This is the most popular colour in the UBN range anyway. And this frame size is a 57, so this is the largest frame. They do a 45, a 51 and a 57. I'm 6'1", so I'm riding the 57. Lovely comfortable bike, it fits me really, really well. Then this is where the really big changes come. So when we're looking at the handlebar setup, on a normal UBN bike you'd have a flat handlebar on here, you'd have a ring adjuster from the Fazua system to sort of flick up to go up to the higher or lower assistance levels that Fazua calls something I can never remember, river, stream, I don't know, some sort of silly things, but basically 3 different assistance levels that you can have, plus off. What they've done on this bike is they've changed it to a drop handlebar. So this is far more suitable if you're looking for the longer distance riding, moving at higher speeds, better aerodynamics on it. That's where you've got these drop handlebars so you can move down. With that, they've then integrated. So rather than having that ring shifter from Fazua, underneath the handlebar here, there's 2 buttons, one on either side. The one on the left hand side, you press it and it switches the bike on, and then using the 2 buttons you can go, right hand side will take you up the assistance levels, left hand side will take you down the assistance levels. If you click them quickly both together, it will put it into boost mode. So you'll get all the beams for a short period, so off the lights you can race away, and then if you press and hold both the buttons, that'll turn your lights on and off. So it's a really nice system because it's completely hidden, so there's nothing to be seen. You wouldn't know that there was all the other bits and pieces going on the handlebars. So yeah, really lovely. It's actually really comfortable to ride, so me being a lover of the bikes like the Homage and the Delights, which we've got some special stuff coming on soon, I imagined in my head before I took this one out for a ride, it wasn't really going to be the bike for me, but I really like it. I find it comfortable, very similar to the the nice high-end bikes that are out there. I don't quite know why it is. It must be the larger tyres that are on it. Yeah, so I know I'm looking probably disappointed, but that's a good thing. So it is really comfortable, and I really enjoy the drop handlebars as well. The only thing I'm struggling with is the brakes. So I'm used to brakes up here, whereas obviously we've got the brakes off the front end. And just to make that more complicated for me and to make it more trouble, then because we're in Europe, we've got the brakes swapped the other way round. So normally my right hand side would be my front brake and my back would be my left. I got it the other way round, so I've just got to not ride too fast in case I need to stop rapidly, or I'll be over the handlebars. But that should be good for everybody to watch. Other things, so when we're looking at these grips that we've got on the front here, so this is our standard riding position, and we've got our brake levers that are there, but then on the right hand side over here we've got our gear change. So it's not one on the left as well, it's just on the right hand side, and we've got a button to go up a gear and down a gear. It's basically two levers. The whole brake lever is one gear, which goes down a gear, and the one behind it is a smaller lever which pops it back up a gear for going faster. That is called a Shimano GRX group set. It's a combination of these, then obviously the cassette, the derailleur and everything we've got on it. That all comes together, and the GRX is a gravel specific group set. It's made for gravel bikes, but don't forget, Riese and Müller is saying this isn't a gravel bike, this is a commute. It's definitely a gravel bike, don't believe a word they're saying. Moving along, and we've got nice things. Obviously, we've still got the integrated lights that we get on here. We've got these Supernova mini lights, absolutely superb. They're obviously in the packages standard. We get lovely bell on these bikes. These are made by a company called Oi, and it just makes a really long ping that goes on for ages. Really, really lovely bell. I've loved those for years. I'm glad they're putting them on here. Then as we move down the bike and we start looking at the main part of the frame. So in the down tube here, we've got the Fatsuya 430 watt-hour battery combined in the bottom in the crank with a Fatsuya Ride 60. So that's a 60 Newton meter motor, 250 watts. So this is a completely legal UK electric bike. So if you're thinking of buying a bike for doing your commuting every day, probably worth getting something that is completely legal, just because you're going to be on it an awful lot of the time, so you don't want to get pulled over and lose your bike. Moving backwards, quick release seat post. Normally we don't have quick release on a Riese and Muller. It might just because we're at Eurobike, so they put this on to make it easy for everybody to change. Easy upgrade. Normally we've got a standard Allen bolt on there so that nobody can remove your saddle quickly. Lovely physics saddle as well, this one. The one that they've chosen for these urban bikes is phenomenally comfortable, so I'm really pleased with that. When we look at the back of the bike, as standard again, we're going to get this rack. So the imagined use of this bike is really to do that trip backwards and forwards into the office. So for this one, we've then got the rack on here. Now, from memory, I think this is 5 or 7 kilograms load on this rack. So you can easily get a pannier bag mounted on the side that's going to carry your laptop, your notebook, your pencil case. This is looking at me. I carry a pencil case. I love a pencil case. But I can fit all of that in there and get backwards and forwards to the office, no problem at all. If there was any upgrades I'd do on this bike, I might change the pedals. These are half decent pedals they've put on here, so they're sort of semi-studded pedals, but I might, if I'm going to do more of the adventure riding at the weekend, I might upgrade to some of those Stamp Brothers pedals that we've got. I can't remember the name of, but they've just got a more aggressive stud pattern. That would be good if you are going to take it off-road, because these are standard plastic pedals. They've got little raised bits in them to stop your foot sliding off, but they're not as aggressive as you might want if you're going to be riding off-road. Or the other option, I expect a lot of people will put clipless pedals on that. Easy change, we can do that in the workshop for you when they turn up. Otherwise, I'm not going to change the tyres. I love the look of the town walls, and the grip and everything. These are perfect for the type of thing we're going to do. Obviously, no need to change them. Lights, integrated rear light in the mudguard as well. That's pretty fancy. Saddle, I love. The motor and the battery, 430 watt hours. That's going to get me, I don't know, if I ride it sensibly, that's going to get me 40 miles. It's such a light bike. It comes in at 19.7 kilograms. That's going to get me easily 40 miles. Probably more, because of the style of the bike, you'll get up above the speed of the motor and you'll sit there and you'll keep on going, so you'll probably get your distance a lot further. If you do ride it in turbo, which, let's be honest, that's probably what I'll do, that's an easy 20 miles on this bike. There's a lot of gravel bikes out there at the moment. You know, there's no getting away from it. It's massively fashionable. Everybody wants a gravel bike, and for good reason. This bike is coming in at just over, I think, £4,700 from Riese and Müller, and that's a pretty well equipped bike. So you're buying into the Riese and Müller brand, you're buying into the support of all the dealerships, and you're buying into the quality of components that it's on it. So £4,700, I think, is an astounding deal for a bike that looks this good and obviously rides this well, and obviously the support that's going to come afterwards. So if you are thinking of buying yourself a gravel bike or a commuter bike, then maybe this UBN5 Commute is going to be the one for you. If you'd like to know more about this bike, then come over to our website at edimo.bike, or give us a call 01453834300, or just go and watch more of our videos on YouTube and find out more about the lovely bikes like this.